Alrighty, so today we're looking at chapter 6b, distance time graphs. So it's all in the name here. We're just looking at graphs and they're linear, and we're looking at distance and time specifically for this chapter. Okay, so graphs of distance versus time usually consist of line segments. Okay, line segments meaning they're linear, which means straight. And they go in like bits. Segments means little parts. So for example, like this is a segment, and then we've got that is a segment. So they're all line segments like that. So just getting rid of that. The next bit is obviously each line or each segment shows whether the object is moving or at rest. So a line is moving when it's obviously on an angle, okay, because it's like actually moving up. So the same as this one, up. It can be going down, but you can see that it's moving along or going down. It's actually moving somewhere. Whereas the straight lines across, I'll use a different colour. These straight lines going across, that is when you call rest. It's called a rest. Okay, so time or distance isn't moving, but time is, because obviously time doesn't stop. So yeah, flat lines meaning they are at rest. To draw a graph of a journey, use time on the horizontal axis and distance on the vertical. Okay, so horizontal is the one going along here, which is time. So you can call that horizontal in case you forget. And the distance always goes on the vertical line. Okay. So this is always the case for these distance time graphs. So it's important, pause it here and make sure you write down these notes for distance time graphs, and we'll jump into some examples. So first example, this distance time graph shows a car's journey from home to school and then to the local shopping centre. What is the total distance travelled? Okay, so distance is along this way, and it's starting here, which is at 0, okay, and it ends up here. See how there's like a end? So we need to look at, it goes from that dot up to the other dot, okay, so the total distance is 4 kilometres, okay. Next bit, just get rid of that. The next bit, how long is the car resting while at school? Okay, remember resting means a horizontal line, like a straight line or a flat line. So along here, that means they're resting. So they're resting between the time here and the time here. Okay. So we should be able to tell that this is actually going up by 10 minutes. So that would be 10, 20, 30, 40. And they're resting between 10 and 20 minutes. So in total, that would be 10 minutes they are resting for. And C, what is the total distance travelled after 30 minutes? Okay. So after 30 minutes, it's already got the lines here for us. Get rid of this. So the red lines that it has. So here at 30, okay, at 30 minutes, what is the distance? So you go up to your line, which is here, and you go across to your distance to see how far they've gone, okay? So it means here. What is this number? Well, it's going up by 1, 2, 3, 4. So at 30 minutes, they are 3 kilometres. So the answer to that is 3 kilometres. Okay, so we're using our line to tell us different points on the graph, and it'll help us to determine whether it's time or distance. Okay, next example is actually sketching a graph. So it's given us, for this example here, it's given us the information to sketch, and we need to put it onto a graph. So the first thing, obviously you do your axes. The first point here says the total distance covered is 18 kilometres. And I remember from my initial notes that it says that distance is always on the vertical axis, so I need to label that the distance is along here. Okay, and it's in kilometres, so I can put that there. And it covers 18 kilometres, so that's why I've put my numbers all the way up to 18 already. Okay, going up by 2s, just so that I don't have, or I can fit it all in on this page. And it says total distance covered is 8 kilometres in 3 hours. Okay, so it takes a total of 3 hours. So down the bottom here is time in hours. So it's important to label your axes all the time. And in saying that, we can put a little point. So that's the end, because that's the final distance. So at 3:18, that's the end of our car drive or our walk, whatever it may be. Then it says 10 kilometres was covered in the first hour. Okay, so looking at our distance, we get up to 10 kilometres in the first hour. So I'm going to put a point here, okay, because that's the first hour at 10 kilometres. So we start at 0, always start at 0 here, and in the first hour we go up to 10 kilometres. Okay, the next bit of our our information here is 1 hour long rest after the first hour. So the first hour happens, okay, and we've obviously travelled 10 kilometres, so then we rest. So we need to do a flat line going for an hour, so over until we get to the 2, because that's the first hour, or the next hour. And then we've got the last hour, and we know that we've got to finish at 18 kilometres, so we would go all the way up here. And that's our graph for this one. Okay, so let's put some important notes. Label your axes. That's probably, one of the most important ones. Obviously, time is horizontal and distance is vertical, the vertical line. Okay, then you look at your information, your key information here, and sketch it accordingly. Okay, remember that this flat line is your rest. Your total distance is your end point, which is, in this case, it was 18 kilometres after 3 hours. So hopefully that helps, and you can now have a go at 6B by yourself.